This soldier is holding a tank over his head with one hand. He is not strong. The tank is a balloon. In the spring of 1944, the Allies built an entire army out of rubber, plywood, and lies. And that fake army was about to win the most important day of the 20th century. Everyone knows D-Day. Almost nobody knows how weird it actually was. And I promise you, every part of this is real. By 1944, Nazi Germany controlled almost all of Western Europe. If the Allies ever wanted to win, they had to get an army back onto that continent. There was just one small problem: an ocean of concrete. Germans had spent years fortifying the coast of France into the Atlantic Wall. Bunkers, big guns, millions of mines. The German commander in charge of stopping any invasion was Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, and Rommel understood the whole war better than anyone. He knew that if the Allies ever got ashore in force, Germany was finished. So the invasion had to be stopped right here, on the beach, in the first day. He called it, and I am quoting him, the longest day. So the Allies had a door to kick down, and the man behind it was one of the best in the world. Their entire plan came down to one question: where do you knock? There were two obvious choices. Calais, the shortest hop across the channel, the answer any sane person would pick. Or Normandy, farther, harder, and therefore exactly where the Allies decided to go. The beaches of Normandy were a trap waiting to happen. So the Allies ran the greatest deception in history to convince Germany the attack was coming at Calais. They called it Operation Fortitude, and they went absolutely insane with it. They built a fake army across from Calais. Inflatable tanks, wooden planes, dummy landing craft made of canvas. From a German spy plane high overhead, it looked like a massive force getting ready to invade. And to sell it, they put the most feared general the Allies had, George Patton, in charge of it. The man the Germans respected most was given command of an army that was, structurally, mostly balloons. They filled the airwaves with fake radio traffic for units that did not exist. So German eavesdroppers would hear a whole army chattering away. But the masterstroke was not the balloons. It was a man. His name was Juan Pujol Garcia, codename Garbo, a Spanish double agent working for Britain. Garbo told the Germans he was running a spy ring of 27 agents across Britain. Every single one of those agents was imaginary. He invented them. He invented their personalities. One of his made-up spies got so inconvenient that Garbo had him die of illness, then arranged a real obituary in the paper and got the man's fake widow a pension. For a person who never existed. The Germans trusted Garbo so completely that they gave him the Iron Cross, one of their highest honors. Britain gave him a medal too, which makes Garbo possibly the only man in the war decorated by both sides for the same job of lying to one of them. So the target is set, Normandy. The date is set, June 5th, and then the weather completely falls apart. A massive storm rolls into the channel. You cannot land thousands of boats in a storm. The invasion is about to be postponed for weeks. The fate of the free world now rested on a Scottish weatherman named James Stagg. Stagg told Eisenhower there would be one tiny break in the storm, a window, about 24 hours, starting June 6th. Think about that decision. Go now, on the word of one man reading clouds, and maybe lose everything. Or wait and give the Germans more time. Eisenhower sat in the silence, and then he said 4 words. Okay, we will go. He was so unsure it would work that he wrote a second note in advance, to be read if the invasion failed. It took all the blame personally. He put it in his wallet and told no one. Then he launched the largest invasion in history anyway. Now here is the beautiful part. The Germans saw that same storm and were sure nobody would be crazy enough to invade in it, so they relaxed. Rommel, the man obsessed with stopping this exact moment, drove home to Germany to give his wife shoes for her birthday. And the powerful tank reserves that could crush any landing could only be released by one man, Adolf Hitler, who, on the morning of the invasion, was asleep, and not one person on his staff was brave enough to wake him up. It started in the dark, hours before dawn. Thousands of paratroopers dropped behind enemy lines. The drops did not go to plan. Men were scattered miles away, alone, in the pitch black, behind an entire German army. One paratrooper, John Steele, drifted straight into a church steeple and got his chute snagged on the point. He hung there and survived by playing dead for hours while the fight went on below him. That really happened. There is still a parachute on that church today. And then the sun came up. A German lookout saw, coming out of the mist, nearly 7,000 ships. It was the single largest fleet ever assembled. He simply stared. There was nothing in the manual for this. The Allies hit 5 beaches at once: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juneau, and Sword. 156,000 men would come ashore before the day was done. At Utah, the boats drifted off course and landed the troops in completely the wrong spot, which turned out to be the least defended part of the coast. Getting lost was the best possible outcome. Leading them was Brigadier General Theodore Roosevelt, Jr., the oldest man in the invasion, walking the beach with a cane. Told he had landed in the wrong place, he shrugged and said, "We will start the war from right here." At a cliff called Pointe du Hoc, U.S. Army Rangers climbed 100 feet of sheer rock, under fire, on ropes and ladders, to destroy huge German guns at the top. They fought up, took the position, and found the guns were not there. The Germans had moved them and left fakes, so the Rangers hunted the real guns down a road and destroyed them anyway. Then there was Omaha. Omaha Beach was overlooked by high bluffs, and the Germans defending it were far stronger than expected. The swimming tanks, meant to protect the first wave, were launched too far out. 27 of 29 sank, taking their crews down. The men in the first wave walked into machine gun fire the instant the ramps dropped. One American company from the small town of Bedford, Virginia, was cut down in minutes. Bedford lost more of its sons that morning than any town its size in America. They were farm boys. Most were teenagers. But they did not stop. In small groups, with no plan left, soldiers crawled up off that beach and took the high ground the hard way. By the end of the day, every single beach was in Allied hands. And now, the fake army pays off. Because the German High Command looked at Normandy and thought, this must be a trick. The real invasion is still coming at Calais, from Patton. So they kept their best divisions sitting at Calais, guarding a beach against an attack that was never, ever coming. Garbo even helped seal it, sending a message insisting Normandy was only a diversion. They believed their favorite spy over their own eyes. The reinforcements stayed put for weeks. The lie held long after the landing. The Allies even brought their own harbors, giant floating ports towed piece by piece across the channel, so they could unload onto a beach with no port at all. They were ashore. They were staying. The door to Europe was open. It was not free. At least 4,400 Allied soldiers were confirmed dead by the end of that single day. Around 10,000 were killed, wounded, or missing. The balloons got the army to the door. Terrified young men walked through it. And one last thing, since everyone asks. The D in D-Day does not stand for doom, or destiny, or deliverance. It stands for day. It literally just means day-day. The military used it as a placeholder, and it stuck to the most famous invasion in history. Somehow, the most fitting part of the whole story. For the true stories from inside this war that almost nobody tells, subscribe. Next time, the tiny Allied submarine that was sunk by its own toilet. Yes, really.